I think everything has a solution. I'm a problem solver, and I definitely learned that from working in kitchens.
Gráinne Mullins, an award-winning chef, a Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneur who is the head chocolatier and founder of Grá Chocolates, which she set up in her hometown of Kilchreest in 2020. Welcome to GK Media Studios, and thank you for joining me on Garry Talks.
If you're constantly getting yourself down, looking at the things that are going wrong, you're never going to move on and you're never going to get things done. Whereas if you can flip it and say, okay, I can find a solution to this rather than looking at it as a constant negative, then you can get things done.
But in all honesty, do you get tired trying to constantly flip things into a positive outcome?
I believe that if you believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, you can achieve anything.
This is a GK Media podcast. You have had an amazing journey in just a very short space of time, but you started off really getting into the love of food in France in Michelin-starred restaurants. Is that right?
That is right. Well, I've always loved food. So I worked from the age of 16 in restaurants here in Galway. And it was only just after college that I decided to move to the south of France. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey. And
were you doing like home ec in school, or was it?
Yeah, I did home ec at school, but also my parents are fantastic cooks. My mum has a garden. We always had our own chickens. So we have a lot of fresh, good quality food. And I was always encouraged to bake and cook and do whatever I fancy. So yeah, from day one, from as long as I remember, I have been baking, cooking and making sweet treats for everyone.
And were you inspired by the likes of your Gordon Ramsays, your Jamie Olivers, your Nigella Lawson?
Yeah, definitely. I would have watched a lot of Jamie Oliver when I was younger, but not so much Gordon Ramsay. And Nigella, definitely. So yeah, Rachel Allen was one I always watched as well. So any cooking shows I could, that was what I was stuck to on telly.
Okay, so you're in France and you're there for a few years studying. And then you get Young Chef of the Year. You return to Ireland, and in 2020, when the whole world is turned upside down and everyone kind of starts off doing maybe little hobbies or gigs on the sides, anything to keep them sane, you got into making chocolates.
I did, yeah. I was making treats at home, keeping myself busy, going on my long walks, doing as much as I could, just like you said, keeping myself busy. And one thing I made was hand-painted Easter eggs as a gift for all of my friends and family. So once I made them, I put them on social media and loads of people started reaching out to me asking if they could purchase them. So that was the first time I ever thought that this could be an idea, this could be a business. And from there, I just started researching, developing and launched Grá Chocolates in July 2020, which was just over 3 months later.
Well, and did you have a huge following on social media that you got a reaction like that?
So I had not a huge following, probably around 6,000 to 7,000 people. It's grown since, but then I set up our own Grá Chocolates page and people just started sharing and sharing and sharing. People were excited about the launch. People were asking questions and it was absolutely incredible. So exciting.
And was this the plan, like of January 2020? Was this?
Not at all. No, there was no plan like this whatsoever. I was supposed to be traveling. I had a job set up in Bali. So I was supposed to move to Bali, but lockdown put a halt on all plans. I knew one day that I would like to have my own business. So I had done my research in a way, but that's also why I started doing the business courses. That's why I started doing business plan, because I thought even if I don't use it now, I will use it someday. So I always thought that this could have a future. And if I educate myself now in business, how to run a business, how to set up a business, it will always stand to me, even if the world opens back up again next week.
And were you doing these courses in advance of 2020 or?
No, during 2020. So once lockdown hit. So
okay, started educating yourself. Yeah. And was chocolates the area you always wanted to go into, or was it going to be more, dinners?
Well, I was a pastry chef, so I always worked in the sweet side. So your breads, your cakes, your treats, your petit fours, anything sweet dessert related. That was what I always worked on.
How can someone work as a pastry chef and not be like 40 stone?
You work it off. You work very many hours.
Because I only eat the stuff and It just
Well, look, when you're working 18-hour
explodes.
days, you work hard, but you also, it's the stamina, it's the hard work you put into it, it's the determination that you have to have, and to work in those high pressure environments like working in fine dining restaurants, it's tough,
Yeah.
but it's very rewarding, and you learn a huge amount in a very short amount of time because of those long hours and the dedication that you put into it.
So the work that you were doing in France, what sort of tips or skills did you learn that really helped you accelerate with Grá Chocolates?
So I suppose that working in restaurants as a whole, I learned that I had to put in that extra work, that we were one team, it was one dream. We all had to put in enough effort to make sure that the restaurants gained or retained their Michelin stars. So you have a lot of pressure at all times. You have a lot of guests to keep happy. People have very high standards, and you are always trying to go above and beyond for every single customer that's coming into the restaurant. So you learn a lot about customer service. You learn a lot about people, their likes, their dislikes. You learn a huge amount about the people you work with because you spend an incredible amount of time with them. But you also, I think you learn a lot. And even as I set up my own business, I had no fear of working hard. I had no fear of putting in extra hours because I was very used to that. And in many ways, I'm now very lucky that I still work probably even more hours than I ever did then. But at the same time, I can tune off when I really need to. I can be flexible. I can twist and change my own hours. Working in kitchens, you don't have much say because you're working the unsociable hours and you're working very, very hard for other people. But it's an incredible place, working in restaurants, working in that high level. And I really would recommend a lot of people to do it, just in the sense of you learn so much so quickly.
But are not more and more customers painful nowadays?
I never found customers painful. People come for an experience. It's not people coming looking for just one dish and looking to complain. People are coming there because they want to be coming into your world and your creations. Some people do have allergies, of course. We have to be well able to cater for them. We have to be very strict and regimented on how you treat those allergies because you can't take risks. But then also the other side of it is you have this incredible creativity because people are coming to enjoy your desserts and your creative mind and the way you present things. And it's all about perfection. It's all about being consistent and giving the same experience to the customer no matter what time of the day, what day of the week, or what time of the year they come inside that door. You want to make sure that they feel special because this is their moment to treat themselves.
You've always come across online to me as a very positive person. You're always smiling and upbeat and taking on challenges. Is it true?
Well, I suppose every person has their ups and downs. I like to look at the world very positively. I think we all create our own happiness. Everyone has challenges. There's no doubt about that. There's days where you just don't know what to face and you don't know what your next challenge is going to be. But I think everything has a solution. I'm a problem solver, and I definitely learned that from working in kitchens. You come up against different challenges all of the time, and you have to be fast thinking. You have to solve them as quickly as you can, as best as you can. That's not saying it's always the correct decision, but it's definitely not the wrong decision because there usually is no wrong decision. You've put your facts, your information, your experience behind that decision, and you've made the decision. You just have to stand by it. So even when there is challenges, you just have to kind of get over them. And I suppose everyone has their ups, everyone has their downs, but I do like to stay as positive as I can. I have an incredible team. I have an incredible business. I'm very lucky. I feel very, very lucky that I've been able to create my dream job. And I just hope to be able to grow that and to build our incredible community.
A lot of people come to me who are starting off in business, or they might be a couple of years in business, and they're looking for advice because I'm 11 years in business. And one of the things I always tell them is, business, it can be a feast or a famine. You can be really, really busy, and then there'll be times when you will be really quiet, and not to get down when it's quiet. Use that for being productive, for planning, preparing, educating yourself, and so on. And when it's really busy and you're ready to hit the floor at 9 o'clock that night because you're so exhausted, be grateful that you are so busy as well. So you need to embrace the quietness as much as you embrace the busyness. So I call it embrace the feast or the famine. But you've really grown really fast in 4 years in business. What would you say to someone who's only a year or two in business at the moment and is just still in that phase of struggling, questioning themselves and so on?
Well, firstly, I completely agree. But we're a gifting business, so we're extremely seasonal. So every single year we have our feast and we have our famine. So summertime for us is our quiet time. We recognize that. Thankfully, now that we're 4 years in, I can actually recognize that. We can see patterns. We can set expectations for how much we're going to sell, what we're going to do. Do we have enough time? So only now do you start to figure that out. But it's also about embracing that. So just like you said, enjoying the quiet time. For us, we've actually tried to fill it in with a lot more food festivals, meeting our customers, getting out there, doing things that are a little bit different. And then that winter time, we put our heads down. We work as hard as we can until we come out after Easter and we enjoy the big deep breaths and the sunshine all over again. So there's different times of the year that you will be busy, just as you said. But also then I think just looking and believing in yourself. I think you have to have a great idea to begin with. You have to realize your unique selling points, your USPs, and you have to look at your customer and try and make them feel special. So I think if you can just focus on giving the most incredible service and product, you will achieve a lot. If you can be consistent, nobody hates anything more than worse customer service, whether it be when you purchase something, when you order something, when you book in something and it doesn't work out. We all make mistakes. We're only human. But about owning those mistakes, apologizing for those mistakes and trying to make that customer feel even more special than they thought they would in the first place. So if you have a customer that complains about something, do your absolute best to bring those back as a really loyal customer. Like, for example, if a box of our chocolates got lost in the post and a customer needed it for a certain date and they were super upset, they emailed us and possibly there's nothing we can do for them in that exact day. But what we could possibly do is send out a hamper of goodies to apologize to them. It's not saying we'll do that in every situation. We take them all differently.
Yeah, and how do you know if someone's genuine either? Well,
people are genuine. Most people are very genuine and you can't look at the negativity. You can't focus on, are they lying to me? Did they make this up? Because most of the time it's trackable through DPD, through something else. Okay. I think you have to see the goodness in people and you have to see the positivity in people. Of course, you come up against challenges and that's why we have certain SOPs and standards in place and that's why we have certain decisions and you have to have those as well. But at the same time, I think if you look on people that all they want is a gift for someone, all they wanted was a perfect Easter egg and it arrived broken. All they want is to be able to have that really special moment. They're not purchasing your product in the intention to try and get something bad out of it at the end of it. So I think it's about really focusing on the good intentions of people and trying to then reciprocate that yourself and understand that from a customer point of view. I always try and put myself back into the customer point of view and say, if this was me and this was the product I was buying, how would I feel right now? And then try and see how would I like to be responded to.
What intimidates you in business?
Everything. No, I suppose the future is very scary in many ways because you don't know what's next. As you said, it could be the famine next. It could be very quiet. But I think I always try and stay focused on the growth, on what's next, what's exciting, but also really focused on the day-to-day and what's happening internally. How are the team running? How's everything going? Having a great relationship with everyone. So I suppose it's daunting not really knowing what's next, but at the same time, just appreciating where you are and staying really in the moment while always looking forward and always having aims, but also just focusing on what you can do right now, because there's no point in setting yourself a list of 100 items that you can't do. Of course, that list might need to exist somewhere, but it could be a tomorrow's list or a long-term list. I like to have my now list, my today list, and my long-term list. And my long-term list is something I work away at all of the time. But when I have time, it doesn't need to get fixed today. There's not 5 massive jobs that can be done in one day, but there is little jobs that can be done every single day to work you towards those aims.
So do you work better on your own in terms of planning and formulation, or do you work better with it like a group of people, a support group and an accountability group?
I suppose a combination of both. I definitely work very well by myself, but I do like to have my team around me. So I will always work in the office, except for if I'm traveling or up in Dublin seeing the rest of our team. I will almost always be in the office because I like to have people around me. They can ask me questions when I need them. I can bounce questions off them. But then at the same time, a lot of collaboration is really important within business, and giving the autonomy and the confidence to your team members that they can make the decisions themselves and that they can have input and that they feel ownership over the products. So I suppose a nice combination between the two.
You see, I come into my office and I come in for the chats. And I feel I'm always annoying and distracting the others trying to get work done, because I just want to sit down and kind of catch up and have the gossip and so on. But you mentioned, your team in Dublin. So this started off with you out in Kilchreest, 2020, and you start getting traction online. And I suppose you're just in that little kind of bubble that we were all in of anything that we got that fixated us and kept us busy and sane and distracted from the outside world was great. When did things start to shift from this is, keeping me sane to actually, I think I'm onto something?
Well, when I launched, it was the 24th of July, 2020, 6 p.m. It was a Friday evening. And I launched the website on that moment. The site crashed because there were so many people on the website. We sold out for those who could get on in 8 minutes. The site actually sold double the quantity that I actually had made.
But isn't that just amazing that there's such excitement?
Yeah.
And that you've created that for 6 p.m.
Yeah. It was really amazing. And to see the amount of people that got on to support.
And was that all just done through social, or were you on the radio and newspapers?
Yeah, all through social media. There was a little bit of newspapers and radio, but very minimal. Mainly it came from through social media. And it was very lucky to have all of those contacts, very lucky to have those people that logged on to buy. It was in lockdown when people didn't have treats, they didn't have places to go and things to do. But what I was able to offer was that experience at home, that nice treat. So yeah, from that moment, I suppose it was bigger than I could have imagined because there was more people out there than I could have ever imagined.
And was it still just you?
It was completely just me. Yeah, that was day one. So when I launched, I then realized that I would set a pre-order system up, set up with the pre-order system. Again, almost instantly, I sold out for 3 months in advance. And then I realized, okay, I need to do more. I need to get more team members. There's only so much I can do in this kitchen by myself. So I started getting new team members in and we started growing the business. So it was quite early. Like that was all done from my parents' kitchen counter. And very kindly then I let them, I convinced them to turn our shed into a chocolate factory. So we turned our mini shed into a chocolate factory, 10 square meter little chocolate factory that we worked from.
So you've suddenly gone into now investing in infrastructure in terms of equipment, bringing in staff, becoming an employer, and sorting out through all that needs to be done as becoming an employer. Also creating systems within your business now so that you can grow it and scale it and that it maintains that consistency. And you've 3 months of pre-sales happening and you have all the marketing now that is growing and like a lot of intense work there in a short period.
It was incredible. Yeah, it was so special. It was such a incredible moment to be so lucky to have, because people were there, people were reaching out to us, people wanted the product, people were chasing us down to be like, please, I really need this for a product. We had sold out entirely till Christmas. There was only so many we could do and we just made non-stop. Wow. We made chocolates and we got those chocolates out. And that was when we only had one product available, one product. It's still our most popular box. But now we have lots more different products for people, different times a year, different products. And we're very lucky that people just keep coming back to us. We have an incredible customer base and we just keep growing those customers as well.
Like so much learnings you would have had to done in terms of e-commerce and websites and...
So much. We had a WooCommerce website back then as well and it required a lot more coding and there was a lot more challenges with it. But it was really, really intense but really incredible. And we were constantly looking at the ways we could make it more efficient. How can you make it easier for the customer to purchase? What are the things they're complaining about? What are they frustrated about? And as many of those that I listen to, I try to find a solution for them, because the easier you can make it for a customer to purchase online, the more they will want to come back, the more they will purchase from you and the more loyal they become. And they feel listened to as well. People want to feel listened to. It was really, really incredible growth. And those first 4 months of growth were huge.
And were you looking to anyone for inspiration during all this, for yourself as a driver?
I didn't have time to look at anyone. So not really. I think I was just listening to our community and pushing forward like that. Ahead of time, I had looked at some other chocolatiers across the world and how they were doing it. But very quickly I realised that it was going to be our discovery and we had to focus on what our journey was going to be with our customers rather than looking at other businesses.
And what is your USP then?
Well, I suppose the hand-painted chocolates, that's really, really special. The beauty of them, but then also the flavours on the inside. So we are very particular about the ingredients we use, the fillings we make. We make everything from scratch and they taste just so incredible. They really do.
It's like 3 days it takes to make each chocolate.
Yeah, it takes 3 days. Well, it's a 5-day process altogether from the painting the whole way till the end until they're packaged up. So yeah, it's a full process. But it means they are the most incredible special chocolates. That means they're truly a gift. It means they can be enjoyed like no other chocolate and that they're a fresh chocolate and that the flavour maintains and the flavour is just absolutely delicious.
So when was the time to move out of the back of your parents' house?
So very quickly it was a 10 square meter shed. So we filled it up quite quickly, as you can imagine. And then we also took over the conservatory. So we had the conservatory and the shed. And then we plonked a shipping container in the back garden where we stored all of our packaging. So we were running out of space very quickly. We had hardly enough to keep up with demand. And that was where I was on the hunt for our own unit. And to be honest, from day one, I was looking for my own unit. From the day I set up on my parents' kitchen counter, I was looking for somewhere else that I could create because I didn't want to put the burden on them. And they were absolutely incredible. They were so supportive. But at the same time, I knew that if you want to grow your business, you don't do it on top of your parents. You have to give yourself the space to grow as well. So it was 2.5 years after launch that we moved into a bigger unit. So that's where we're still based now. And hopefully very soon we will have a new unit again that we can move into and expand into further.
And how many people do you have now working with you?
We have a team of 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Galway and Dublin?
In Galway and Dublin, yeah, divided between the two. We have some people remote working, but mainly between our Brown Thomas store in Dublin and between our unit here in Ballybrit.
Go Gráinne.
Yeah, it's great. I can't do it without them. They're absolutely incredible. And this year's been a really exciting year as well because we finally have kind of nearly departments, even if they're only small, but we have marketing, we have our finance, we have our retail team, we have our production and we have our operations and also then our packing. So we finally have people divided up through different areas, responsibilities divided between. So it gives people, again, that responsibility, that courage and that understanding of what their role is and how they work together in synergy with the other teams, but also how they have autonomy over their own section as well.
And do you think was selling internationally was the key thing to really excel and scale the business?
Well, still mainly our customers are still in Ireland. We do ship to the US, the UK and anywhere in Europe. So we do still get a good bit of orders, not just from Ireland, but a lot of our customer base is still Ireland. So we know that there's a lot of potential of growth still out there. And we're just trying to really tap into that and see how we're going to figure out those different markets and how we're going to grow in them.
Oh, unbelievable. You're well used to firefighting and challenges and facing the unknown. But like for a lot of businesses this year, you too came up and faced some challenges. And like I've been reading about it lately, and you, I'm sure, know much better how the cocoa bean has gone really expensive. I know as an employer, you know, especially those on the retail side, they've been affected by rates, minimum wages been increased. The government have increased bank holidays, which is great for the employee, but it's the employer who pays for the bank holidays. You know, the sick days have come in, the pension scheme will be coming in at some stage. So a lot of changes have happened in the last year or so. And even like the multi-millionaire, you know, business owners are out there saying how tough it has been, the change in the VAT rate and everything like that. What challenges have you faced this year?
Well, every single one of those that you've mentioned, and some of them are only coming in January, and it's about being prepared for them as well. So we have really had a lot of challenges coming up against us. And what I strive to do is to treat our team as best as I possibly can, because I can't do it without them. They're absolutely incredible. But these challenges of all of these extra days off makes each employee more expensive for the business. And it's unfortunate that sometimes they don't look and see that this is an extra cost to you. So that's maybe why you can't give them a raise that year, because there's a new bank holiday, because there's now going to be a pension scheme, because of all these other things, whereas you would prefer to be able to say, well, my progression for you is we are going to do this, or we are going to increase your wage, or all of these other things that we could offer. But unfortunately, when things get super, super tight and the government does add in all of these on top of smaller businesses, it can be really, really challenging to kind of navigate that, because at the end of the day, it's the cost of a box of chocolates. And the reality is that all of these increases are going to lead to more expense on the product that we sell in the first place. And it's things sometimes you don't want to have to do, but the reality is it's business, and you have to be able to cover all your costs. You have to be able to ensure that your team are still being paid. And it's about trying to negate that ahead of it happening, but also trying to like retain the team, make sure everyone's still happy, make sure you're giving people what they need. And it's hard in the times of a cost of living crisis as well, when people will need to be paid more. So it's trying to find the balance with all of that. But I think the honesty as well with team members is really important. And communication is really, really important. And I suppose the chocolate that you mentioned, the increase in costs, it's scary.
Can you talk to me, like what was the price of a cocoa bean? What is it now? Why has it increased?
Yeah, so for us alone, in the last month, the price of our cocoa butter has increased by 69%.
So even compared to when you started out in 2020,
so it had already increased. So it was about. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's increased exponentially per year. So we've gone up about 15-20% every single year since I launched. And I assumed that when you'd be buying bulk, you'd get better prices. Yeah. But it's funny now that we pay nearly double what I paid back when I first launched in 2020. And in many ways, that'll probably never go backwards. Look, chocolate will probably become more of a premium product across the board.
Is that?
Well, across the board, I think people are buying better quality chocolate, or people are recognizing that if you do buy better chocolate, you are paying a proper wage to the people that are picking the cocoa beans, drying them the whole way through the process, and you're getting a higher quality product at the end.
But even there's a chocolate manufacturer out there, like they've loads of businesses under their umbrella. The chocolate isn't great at all, but they've said like that the prices of the chocolate's gone up, and they're not premium.
Yeah, then that's it. That's why chocolate's just becoming more expensive. There's no other way around it, because there was a shortage in the cocoa beans this year in the production of them in the Ivory Coast, and that has really impacted on the world supply of chocolate. So it meant the premium.
And is it too wet or too dry?
Yeah, it was a fungal infection that has gone. So yeah, it's really eradicated a lot of the crops. So the whole supply chain has been limited. So that if you do want to get your hands on any chocolate, the price has just gone skyrocketed. But look, at the same time, it's just one other challenge you have to deal with, and it's not easy, but I would assume that the prices will never go back down again, because I can't imagine our supplier ever saying we're going to drop the prices. But what we consistently do, we buy B Corp certified chocolate. So it is the highest quality standard in the sense of it's ethical. Everything about it, from picking the beans straight through to the end process, is the highest standards, B Corp certified. And we hope to continue on that. We will never change that, because we see how important it is that the supply chain, that every part of that supply chain is taken care of, that we are using products that either are local and made in Ireland and have a fantastic origin here and fantastic ingredients, because we make incredible products. But if it's not Irish, that it is super, super sustainable. So yeah, it's. And
do you get the beans from the Ivory Coast, or can you get them from Africa? Or?
You can get them from everywhere, but I suppose across the world, it's just a limitation on the stock that is available. So yeah.
I mean, it's not fair. You have the cost of living. You had the Suez Canal incident, and the war in Ukraine, which is horrific. So all these things, and then the one thing you want to just enjoy
the chocolate.
The chocolate.
We can still enjoy it though. So that's the thing. You just have to look at these things as another challenge, and I think businesses will forever have challenges every single day.
But you can't increase your chocolates by 69% all of a sudden.
I can't. You know. But it wouldn't be a full 69% for us as well. But we have to look at the percentage of the cost, how much we need to increase it
without
up ourselves.
Compromising on the product.
We're never compromising on the product. That is one thing I'm firm on, and I would prefer to have a more expensive product, but it be super quality, the best quality product you can taste, than to have something that's inferior in quality and to drop our quality just to retain the same price. And I think our customers will appreciate that and recognize that, and this is why people are even backing us with our Kickstarter as well.
We'll talk about that shortly as well, because you had the price of the cocoa bean gone up, and other costs as well. We forgot about like electricity and all that. Insurance has gone up drastically. Like our insurance went up a good chunk this year, and I got back onto them. I was like, how? Like, it doesn't make sense why it's suddenly gone up so much when there's been no claims, there's been no change of what's insured and so on. If anything, the value of what's insured has gone down as opposed to increase. But rent is another problem, isn't it?
It is, unfortunately. So yeah, we're renting a unit, and unfortunately the landlord tried to double our rent.
And you're only there 2 years, is it?
We will be there 3 years, and it was at that point that they wanted to increase the rent, which is obviously not what you want to hear, and it's very stressful for a business to hear that. It's very hard to manage that as well, because you are reliant on the unit that you're in, the place you have spent a lot of money in, the infrastructure and everything you have fitted out in that unit. And it's not just a matter of moving to the unit next door, because it's not that easy. It doesn't have all the facilities that you require, and they're the challenges.
Yeah, like a friend of mine has a business as well, and the rent has gone up there.
Yeah.
And he's super stressed at the moment trying to find an ideal location, because again, it's probably with yourself, because they're dealing with food, they need to be like HSE certified.
Absolutely.
There's so much in terms of like the storage facilities, and that like there's no fungal or anything getting in, that it's, there's airtight containers and stuff, but also it's practical things of, well, his staff live on the east of the city, so he can't really move to the west because he's bringing everyone across the city then, and that causes other issues. And then it's the price of buying places, and are places big enough? And then if there's units available, but they're literally concrete floors and brick walls, and you're looking at huge money to get in electricity and air conditioning and all this, and fire officers coming in, and like, it's not easy for a business just to walk across the road to another unit to say, that's fine, we'll just move all our gear in here.
It's not. And even it's down to planning permission and change of use and all of these other things you need to do as well. So there's so much you have to think about, and it's not just easy as opening the door somewhere.
And had you any inkling that this was
No, I don't think anyone thinks their landlord's going to increase by that much, but you just have to
So
get
what
through
was your reaction when you got, an email?
It was extreme frustration and nearly dismay. You don't want to open the email to see that. It's shock.
No, but just bring us back to that moment. You're sitting down in front of your computer. What happens?
Well, I opened the email and my face nearly dropped. I did the calculation and I was like, this can't be true. And I started looking at it, looking at everything to see if this was really the case. And it was, and it really was the case. They were literally trying to double our rent. And I don't know, is it because we are a consumer brand? So we are quite out there with our branding. We have to talk to our customers. We have to be visible. But people also see a lot of our wins, and we're very happy to share those. But you don't know if that's then being taken advantage of, in the sense of, oh, they're doing really well out of our unit, we're going to increase the rent. But you don't know. Maybe that's just a hypothesis of mine. That's possibly not the truth at all. You just don't understand the logic behind it.
Can you tell us what the rent is proposed to be?
So it was trying to go up to €70,000 for a small unit. Yeah.
That's mad.
It is.
That's
especially per year as well. When you see the unit right beside it.
And this isn't a shop that people walk off the street and go in and pick up chocolate.
No, it's just a manufacturing unit. Yeah. And in the same estate, there's many very, very empty units that are not being filled. So it's like people would prefer to see them empty than to be filled with thriving businesses or growing businesses.
And could you, for instance, slide into one of those?
Again, not as easily, because you're looking at your HSE certification, you're looking at your planning permission, you're looking at your 3-phase electricity and the air conditioning units that you've put in, and every other little thing you have put into that unit in order to make it work for you.
So you're looking at basically a possible stop in business and a huge cost before you can recommence manufacturing again.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
So I decided that I would kind of combat that. I didn't focus on or dwell on the negativity for too long. And I decided that I would look at all other alternatives and see how I could combat this. So I looked at all sorts of ways. I stayed up at night. I hardly slept. And I came up with the idea of launching a Kickstarter and to try and build our very own chocolate factory.
So did you go on and do a video making an appeal, looking for ideas, or did you have the idea of the chocolate factory
So since I set up Grá Chocolates, I've always wanted to have our very own chocolate factory. So I'd say that wasn't a new idea, and nobody would even believe me if I said that, because it's clear if you have a business, you do want to have your own unit. But it was when I put out the video, I put a video on LinkedIn saying my frustrations and what was I going to do about it. And basically what I saw was an incredible reaction of people of support, and people giving suggestions and people giving ideas of how we could combat this. And it was from that I really discovered that this wasn't a negative, and I could look at this as a positive. And yeah, the launching the Kickstarter has been incredible positive, and it's been an amazing few weeks.
I looked at the link yesterday. So you're doing a Kickstarter campaign to buy a site, piece of land, where you can then go through the different phases of getting planning permission, and then the building of the chocolate factory, and then the installation of everything in the chocolate factory and so on. So we're looking at probably 4 to 5 year period.
Yeah, well, I would hope to do it as quick as we can, not to go too big at first, but to get a unit that we can move out of as quickly as we possibly can. So we have...
So you can go screw you to the landlord.
No, not like that at all. But just give us our own space, give us our own freedom, really focus on our growth and us taking our next step.
And are you thinking of setting it up back near your hometown again?
Wherever works. So I've viewed a lot of different sites over the past few weeks.
So you're looking at even potentially anywhere in Ireland?
No, Galway for sure. And again, no more than you said about relocating your team. I have to make sure that it's accessible to my team. Some of them get the bus to work. We need to make sure that they can get the bus to work no matter where we are. So you have to look at every single part of it, but also the most practical. So I will be reaching out to the county council to see which one they will help to support. Only this morning I submitted 4 different locations, and fingers crossed I'll be able to get a pre-planning meeting with them, and that they'll be able to talk through and give me proper feedback. I know that they'll never give a full answer or yes or no, but at the same time they can look into the different options and weigh up and tell me which one I've most chance with.
See, this is mad as well, because I'm sure you, with respect, you were busy enough a few weeks ago, let alone then having to suddenly be doing all this.
I think I thrive off busyness as well, though. So I do love being busy. I will just get jobs done where they need to be done. So if there is a bit of idle time, I tend to fill it up. And maybe this is one of the things that I'm just going to be working on over the next few years. And maybe I'm a bit mad to think that I can do this as well as running the business. But I think once I start to get the people and the things in place, it'll start to do itself.
So the Kickstarter campaign, you were looking to raise 50 grand in 30 days. And how the Kickstarter works is if you don't raise the money within that, and the default is 30 days, you can't make it longer.
You can actually make it longer, yeah.
Okay.
But yes, if you don't reach the target within your set amount of days,
all the money goes back.
Exactly, you don't get 1 cent.
So the pressure's on. You have to raise €50,000 within 30 days, and you've raised over €50,000.
We did. Within 2 weeks, we had raised 50,000, which is really, really amazing, and completely down to our entire community.
That is brilliant. And people still have a chance to get involved and support Gráinne and the staff's campaign to build a chocolate factory in Galway. If you go to Kickstarter.com, you can find Grau Chocolates under projects. But to make it easier for yourself, if you go to GráuChocolates.com, you'll be able to get the link directly to the Kickstarter. And this is the cool thing then. These are all the different perks that one can get based on how much they can support the cause by, starting from €25, which can be your name on their chocolate fountain, which is cool. But there's loads of things. There's factory tours. There's a 3-month chocolate tasting subscriptions, 1 year supply of hot chocolate. You can create your own chocolate. There's the golden ticket to the launch party, where there's loads of, like, each of them there's a breakdown into what each of these different perks have. There's masterclasses. There's business mentoring with Gráinne. Now, this is, for me, is a really interesting one, because I know from talking to you, even though it's only been 30 minutes, that you are a brilliant businesswoman.
Thank you.
It just exudes out of you. I think for anyone in business or wanting to get into business or struggling in business, this is a really valuable series of mentoring masterclasses that you can get with Gráinne, because getting that one-on-one experience where you can ask anything it's transparent, it's confidential, obviously. It can help you excel so much because even just all the different challenges Gráinne has taken on and shouldered and educated herself with and so on. There's huge learnings there to be had. But there's loads of different perks, and it's not only getting a chocolate factory in Galway, but it's also supporting someone who's 4 years in business and has grown her business phenomenally, and has an amazing staff and will no doubt continue to grow as well. So huge relief at the moment because you know you have raised the funds. What can you do by going beyond the 50,000?
So the whole project is going to cost us $1 million. That's the current estimation. But we've a lot more raising funds to do in different ways. So hopefully tapping into grants, getting bank funding, looking at other ways that we can support this. There's so much work to be done. So every euro that goes into this will help support us and make that happen. So I think even if there's some packages there, but people can just give €1 if they want to, if that's all they have. And if you can do that, the amount of people we've reached over the last month on this entire project, if we got every single one of those to give €1, we would have well surpassed the €1 million. So if that's a big reach out to anyone who wants to support us and to back us and make this dream a reality and to be part of this really, really special moment, because as you said, it's really important to support local. It's really important to look at all these businesses and how we can support them in our community. Try to buy local, try to look around and buy alternatives that are made in Ireland, because they're supporting Irish jobs, they're supporting Irish people, they're making this country grow. And the more we can support small entrepreneurs in their ideas and back them and give them their confidence that they can make their dreams happen, and we can have such a thriving economy with absolutely incredible businesses all around us. And that's really, really important for the future
100%.
of Ireland, because no more than me 4 years ago, I started up with just an idea. Now I have an incredible team, but that's because people believed in me and people bought my product and people continue to come back and to give me their trust and give me that chance. And I've been very lucky and I've embraced every second of it. But the more we can do that with every small business in Ireland, the more we will have incredible success stories. And that's not saying that every business will succeed, because some just don't. And it could be the wrong timing. It could be a number of reasons. But I think we should, if we can, give as many opportunities to as many businesses as we possibly can.
I know. And I agree 100%. Like, something that bothers me is when people will, get a dodgy box and then complain that there's no good movies coming out in the cinema, or they'll buy fast fashion. They won't support a musician on the street busking, but they'll pay €350 to see Sabrina Carpenter playing in the 3 Arena next year. It's this whole value thing that I don't think people fully realize. And certainly when you are in business and you're relying on locals to support your business, that has a knock-on effect, because you turn around and you instinctively start supporting other local businesses because you know how valuable it is. But I think if people realized, you have these websites where you can buy nearly everything and anything through it, and it's coming from all other parts of the world. And, we too, as a country, rely on international business. And I've been on the road 11 years now, and it's more and more we're beginning to notice, especially driving through different towns in Ireland, how the filling stations closed, the pubs are closed, the restaurants are closed, the hairdressers are closed. All those local businesses are gone. And we really, really need to actually start making an aware effort to support local businesses, because before we know it, everything we see on our shelves in supermarkets won't be Irish products anymore.
Absolutely. And I think even just looking at your vegetables in the supermarket, if it is a supermarket, or trying to buy more local, but trying to buy those Irish products, because we have fantastic things coming out of Ireland in the food industry all across the board. Our dairy's amazing. Our meat is amazing. We have so much incredible in this country, and the more we can support that, the more we can build that, and the more we can grow as a country, the better it gets for everyone. The more people we can employ, the more opportunities we can give to people. If we just back each other and try and look that little bit harder instead of maybe going on to your big multinationals where you can get everything. Maybe look and see, does your local shop have it? Or ask them for it, because they may very easily be able to get it in for you. So asking that question is really, really, really important, and it's very special.
Yeah. And not even to sound like I'm amazing or anything, but I was looking for a gift for a friend whose birthday it is this weekend. And there's a local shop where it was €5 more expensive at the local shop than it was with this franchise, this national company. I got it from the local thing, €5 more, which isn't a huge amount of money. Now I could have said, oh, I saved myself £5. But it was the fact of, I know that €5 will actually benefit them more than it will the national company. And just even on the fruit and veg that you mentioned, remember, if you're buying Irish fruit and veg here, it's seasonal. So it's actually good for your body. 2, it's not sprayed, because every fruit and vegetable that comes into Ireland is sprayed at the port.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind when you're buying strawberries from Chile or whatever.
And nobody wants a crunchy strawberry that has travelled halfway across the world. You want a beautiful Irish, maybe a Wexford strawberry or a strawberry that's grown in your backyard.
Only picked a few days ago.
Exactly.
Okay, so big plan, build a chocolate factory. Talk to me more about that vision, and have you built a vision board?
So I have a few different types of vision boards. I have my Pinterest board for all the ideas and the themes. I am working with an architect at the moment to draw plans to see what it would look like. I have one person that works on flows and layouts that will help us build the perfect flow of building, because that's super important as well. Like, we think if we had the same size unit that we currently have, but it was built and laid out correctly, then it would be much more efficient for us. So it's even just looking at all the alternatives for that.
But you only learn these things from
working. Yeah. But then you can work them out in advance, because we have a current unit that we're working from, so we can build that out. So it's all very, very exciting, and it's just incredible to think that very soon we will have our own space. And as I said, it's not specific. It may not be our own built brand new unit at the moment, but it may be a unit that we can do up and make right. We're open to all options. We're open to exploring anything, and in different locations as well, because we just want it to be right for us and for it to be kind of a long-term location for us.
And is the idea that there'll be a visitor centre and tours and all that?
Yeah, I would love that. And it would be because we want to bring our customers closer to us. We're mainly an online business, so we ship out all of our chocolates. So we very rarely get to meet anyone, and we very rarely get to say thank you, and we very rarely get to shake anyone's hand or introduce ourselves. So having the opportunity to have people in our environment and show them how the chocolates are made and make them feel more part of Grá Chocolates than they ever have done would be super special for us.
And just the experience that you get by, having staff working in Brown Thomas, talking to customers on a one-on-one. You're up at the Galway races last week. What does that bring to the table for you?
So it brings so much to the table, because we're getting feedback constantly from our customers. We're learning things about them. We're listening to what flavour chocolates they want, and then we can tweak and adapt and try and build the best possible experience that we can for our customers. And our customers can be very good at telling us what they want to see, and that's great, because we want that feedback. We want to hear all about it, and we want to be able to incorporate that into the Grá Chocolates experience.
Do you slow down?
Sometimes when I'm sleeping.
But when do you just get to chill?
I don't take too much downtime, but when I do take it, I really appreciate it, and I come back with even more energy. But no, it's great. Like, as the owner of a startup business, you have to be able to work hard. You have to be able to put in the time. You have to be able to put in the energy. And that's why Grá Chocolates has grown so quickly as well, is because of that constant determination and that constant pushing and that energy and that excitement that I have about the next step and what else we're going to do and this new idea that I have. And that's why it's exciting. And that's why I can stay excited about it all the time as well.
So you obviously have found your true passion.
I love my job so much. I really do have the dream job, like Grá Chocolates. And I know I've created it for myself, but Grá Chocolates is so special to me, and it's something I'm so proud of as well, and how much it has grown in such a short amount of time.
And do you think, though, that you found your passion by accident?
So I always had my passion for food, and I knew that I would one day have a business, but I didn't think it would be a chocolate business, and I certainly didn't ever imagine that it could be an online business. But the market dictated it itself in the times we were in, and I managed to be able to set up a premium brand without ever opening a store and without ever having to meet somebody. So it was really a massive realization for me to realize that I could do it through online. And in some ways people thought it was a super premium brand that had been around for years when it was only a few months old. And that was down to the quality of our images, the quality of our website, the experience that we were giving to people. And to think that we were giving such a great reaction to people and a great experience to people from such a young business is really amazing. And we constantly strive to do our absolute best in those situations.
So from the competitors out there now, have they kind of been leaning in, trying to make life a bit difficult for you?
So I suppose there's a lot of copycat brands, a lot of smaller brands coming up trying to do similar to what we're doing. But the way I would look at that is that they're trying to make the chocolate environment in Ireland stronger and stronger. So the more of us there is screaming and shouting and saying how fantastic our ingredients are and how fantastic good chocolate tastes, the quicker we can convince the whole population that they need to eat good chocolates. But the bigger brands then, look, they're massive giants and they take over the entire world with chocolates. But that doesn't mean that we can't stand up against them. And if the Irish people were to get behind another Irish brand and to really realise that and the importance of backing Irish and handmade chocolates, they would really, really help us grow and compete against those bigger giants.
Yeah, and some of those bigger giants would appear to be actual Irish, but they're not.
Exactly. And they're owned by big American companies all across the world. And look, that's their own prerogative. They can do that. But what we're also showing is how chocolates should taste and what the real true chocolate experience is. And I would say in many ways we're a gifting item that a lot of people wouldn't want to receive that standard box of 50 chocolates that they've always got for Christmas. It doesn't feel special anymore. You put it under the tree and you re-gift it to the next person that pops by. Whereas I like
even in my house.
But I like to think that with Grá Chocolates, that if you received a box of our chocolates, that you would keep them for yourself. You'd keep them for a special moment. You'd share them with your friends and family, or you'd enjoy them all by yourself. But you'd see it and you'd take the time to enjoy it. I don't think it's a box you're just going to re-gift to the next person.
No, but it's not a chocolate either that you just swallow.
No.
Like it's a whole sensation in the mouth, and it's flavor. It's like proper chocolate tastes so different from the stuff you can buy that's always on offer in supermarkets.
Absolutely. It does, because it's made with the best quality ingredients. As I said, we are using best quality. The ingredients themselves taste good, and that's why the end product tastes good. If your ingredients don't taste good in the first place, then your product can't taste good. And that's our unique selling point, is certainly the flavour of the chocolates. And it's unlike a chocolate you've ever tasted before because of that incredible taste and because of those incredible ingredients that have gone into it.
I was talking earlier about, you always come across positive, and, we mentioned competitors there, and you said, you flipped it on its head and you said, look, it's great. We can all be shouting about how great Irish chocolatiers are. We talked about, the rent increase, and you flipped it on its head. You've done a Kickstarter. You've raised over 50 grand to actually build a chocolate factory now in Galway. But in all honesty, do you get tired trying to constantly flip things into a positive outcome?
Honestly, no, because I think I would be more tired focusing on the negative all the time. That's exhausting. If you're constantly getting yourself down, looking at the things that are going wrong, you're never going to move on and you're never going to get things done. Whereas if you can flip it and say, okay, I can find a solution to this, rather than looking at it as a constant negative, then you can get things done. Because you start to set it as a task. You set it as something I can achieve. You set it as a positive, because there is always a positive in the negatives as well. And it might just be something that clicks in your brain, a light bulb that lights, and something, the next steps you take. But the reality is you have to take those next steps. Otherwise, those problems will just bog you down.
Do you do manifestation?
I have a motto.
Okay.
And it's dream it, believe it, achieve it. And I suppose it's a bit of manifestation in the sense of you're dreaming it and you're believing in yourself. And I believe that if you believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, you can achieve anything. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of work that goes on behind that. You have to make sure you're reaching those aims and you're pushing to get to your dreams. But dream it, believe it, achieve it. I think everything's achievable.
But I'd love to get a behind the scenes on you. Like, do you go off walking the beach and kind of like, I'm because you're always so busy. I'm like, where do you actually get time to stop and think and plan and just have quietness around you?
Every evening I go for a walk.
Okay.
That's really important for me. I like to get out in the fresh air. About an hour of bit of me time. If of course people can join me as well. My family or friends will come with me too. But I really enjoy that. I need
That's
that.
probably a power walk than a stroll, is it?
It actually is very fast. I'm often being told to slow down. But I like to walk fast. I feel like that gets my heart rate going, and it gets me kind of, it doesn't allow me time to think. It allows me time to just be in the nature more so, because it's you're walking fast and you're just getting
trying
on with every step. Yeah, exactly. It's like when you go for a jog, that it kind of clears the mind.
Yeah.
So that's really important for me. I love walks by the beach as well. Absolutely love that. The bit of fresh air. So yeah, I'd like to do a bit for me as well. I love, as you can tell, to cook. So one thing I will do almost every evening, one thing I will miss if I don't get a chance to do it, is cook dinner. Okay. So really, I love that time of chopping your vegetables, deciding what you're going to make, coming up with flavors, cooking. It's that's more of a meditation time for me, because it's a bit of me time where I don't think of anything else and I focus on the food. So that's a really important time for me every evening.
So the big plan for Grá Chocolates is the chocolate factory. What's the big plan for Gráinne?
The big plan for Gráinne, well, to keep running Grá Chocolates, to keep growing Grá Chocolates, and also to focus on my own brand as well. I'm a chef, so I love to cook and I love to have opportunities. I'd love to one day have my own TV show.
There we go. You see, now you're telling us.
So it's different dreams like that, and some of them might not happen this year or next year. Some of them may take a few years to come, but they're like the long-term goals, and I have my list of long-term goals that I'm always dreaming about and figuring out and trying to achieve in different ways.
What about books?
Books, I would love to have time to write a book.
Because you could do a business book or a cookbook.
True. Didn't even think of the business book. But definitely there's loads of opportunity there with kind of learning and the things that I've learned and sharing that. And I do love to share it. Like, I've shared with many young entrepreneurs and startup businesses, and even some other chocolate businesses that are starting up. I've told them what grants they need to get, where their first steps, where they should get this or where they should get that, because without that support when I first started, I wouldn't have got to where I am. And people don't always listen to every part of it anyway. So you're just passing on what you've learned, and it's about whether they can jump up on it and grab it. And if they can become a strong competitor of ours, then it only keeps me on my toes.
And what about walking down London one day and seeing a Grá chocolate shop?
I'd love that. I would absolutely love that. Yeah, to have our very own flagship stores would be really incredible. Saying that, I love the online, because we have a very great connection with all of our customers, and it's so close to me that we can answer everything by email. It's right there. All the emails come into us, and if anything goes wrong, we can fix it immediately. Whereas if you have a lot of stores, you're reliant on a lot of staff, you're reliant on a lot of different kind of forms of communication, and to make sure the customer experience is correct every single time. So I know I keep going back to that, but really focusing and making sure that we're providing the best quality service to our customers is the most important.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it is that experience. There was someone in here today just saying that the welcome that they got, it was so warm, it was so nice. And I said, actually, that's our number one thing, is the experience.
Yeah.
I said, it mightn't be the best business idea to have, but I said, I actually put the experience ahead of the product. And they're like, how do you mean? And I said, because someone could have us produce a video for them, and it could be the most amazing video, but they mightn't actually enjoy working with us. Or they could have a really good, strong video, but the process itself was absolutely amazing and fun and exciting as well. And they will remember the experience so much more.
Absolutely. And it's that relationship building.
Yeah.
So especially with us, the way that we are direct to consumer, we have to look at our email flows. We have to ask for feedback. We have to ask the customers, will they provide us with a positive or a negative review? And the reason we're doing that is because if it's something that went wrong in the process and somebody didn't have the chance to come and tell us, then we're closing them off and they may never purchase from us again. But if they do open up and tell us that it's an amazing experience, we can thank them for that. But if they do open up and tell us it was a bad experience, at least we know. At least we know, and we can fix it. Yeah. And they're the really, really important things that you need to know while you're running a business. And if you don't ask those questions, you're not going to find out. So all of the things we do, as I said, on our website, but also behind the scenes afterwards, talking to our customers, connecting with our customers, all the language that we use, it's always very positive. It's always very lovely. It's always very loving in the sense of Grá is the Irish word for love. So we want to make sure that everyone, while they're feeling part of Grá Chocolates, that they feel loved and they feel a part of that environment. So it's all very, very special and very, very exciting.
Fair play to you. If, for our loyal listeners of Garry Talks who actually start listening when the podcast is released at 5 a.m. on a Wednesday, which is funny, actually, I got stats today and the most popular time is 5 a.m. on a Wednesday when we release it.
Isn't that incredible? That's brilliant.
I'm not up at 5 a.m. Who's up at 5 a.m. to listen to a podcast? But anyways, for those loyal Garry Talks listeners, you have until tomorrow morning to get involved and support Gráinne and the team in the Kickstarter campaign. As I said, go to her website, grauchocolates.com. If you're listening to this at the weekend, because a lot of people like going for walks and listen to podcasts at the weekends, you've missed the Kickstarter campaign. But to support you, they can just go to your website and end up with a treat a few days later by ordering a nice box of chocolates.
They can. And also we do have late pledges enabled, so people can pledge afterwards.
Oh, brilliant.
It just will be a little bit more expensive because Kickstarter automatically increased the prices. So yeah, if you get
They increase their commission on it, is it?
They increase the price of the packages. It automatically goes up about 20%. So instead of a €25 package, it goes up 20%. So if you get in sooner, you've more of a chance of getting the early bird offer nearly. So yeah, the late pledges will stay open and they'll be open indefinitely, I believe. But in the meantime, they can of course buy boxes of chocolate. And if you are there before the Kickstarter closes, it would mean the world to me if you can back. And as I said, even if it's just €1, it means so much to us, and it's €1 closer to making our dream a reality.
Absolutely. And just to say as well for people as well, I know we're in August and you're going to hate me for mentioning it, but you know, Christmas will be upon us in a few months. There are, you know, wedding anniversaries, there's birthdays. There are great packages here that you could actually get as a birthday gift, a Christmas gift, a wedding anniversary gift, or whatever for a loved one, because everyone loves chocolate.
Everyone does love chocolate. Nobody dislikes chocolate. And if you do, you just haven't tasted Grá Chocolates
Exactly.
yet.
I love it. Gráinne, you're amazing. You're inspiring. You're just blowing it out of the water. Continued success to you. Please stay in touch. And thank you so much for coming on Garry Talks.
Thank you so much. It's been a great chat and I can't wait for all of you to come and enjoy my chocolates.
Absolutely.